Okay, so forgot to summarize the Songhai Kingdom. The capital is Gao. It's found in Western Africa, the same place that the Ghana and Mali kingdoms were found. It was established between 1000 AD and 1600 AD. They traded gold and salt, and the Songhai gained control of the trade throughout Western Africa, and they conquered two major cities, Timbuktu and Jenny. All right, the next setting is a bunch of smaller ones in East Africa, so we'll be talking about those. There was a variety of them, and you can see that from the map off to the right. These Eastern African societies were strongly influenced by Islam, and a lot of their wealth came from trade because they were along the coast and a lot of trading routes. So, again, there were south of Axum was a mixture of people that were hunters and gatherers. Some had livestock, but not many. And around 1000 BC, they migrated to Eastern Africa along the Congo River basin. And they all spoke the similar language, Bantu. It was a whole conglomerate of languages. And so this whole cluster of languages were called Bantu. Most of them did subsistence farming, which means you grow just enough for your own consumption. They grew millet and sorghum. They also grew things like yams, melons, and beans. They had iron and stone tools. The boys would tend to the animals. They would hunt. They did the trade of salt, animal products, copper, and iron ore. The girls would till the fields and care for the kids. They had a lot of trade along that eastern coast of Africa, especially with the Muslim world during the 7th and 8th century AD. Major cities of Mogadishu, Mombasa, and Kilwa were a string of trading ports along the east coast. Kilwa in the 14th century had a great mosque, and they also had the Husseini Kubwa Palace, and they imported lots of Chinese porcelain, which they were well known for, or pottery ware. They also had indoor plumbing. Eventually, the Portuguese conquered them in 1505. So you can see that we have Mogadishu, Mombasa, and Kilwa, and those were along the trade routes that I just mentioned. All right, so the Indian Ocean trade and all of those trade port cities. Swahili is a mix of African and Arabian culture. A lot of the Africans and Arabians married each other and had offspring. The Muslim religion and Arabic architecture still exists in lots of Africa, but specifically this part of the world. Sahel, again, is the capital, and it means coast. So its people were known as people of the coast. And they were a combination of Bantu and Arabic languages that are still presently used in Kenya and Tanzania today. All right, states and stateless societies of South Africa. In South Africa, civilizations developed much slower than in the northern part of Africa. A stateless society is a group of independent villages that are organized by clans that have one leader or clan member, and so they're a conglomerate of villages kind of ruled by one person. These were found in the grasslands along the Zambezi River, and their economy was farming, cattle herding, and of course trade, as always. They had walls that kept their animals in, but it also kept the wild animals that are found in Africa out. By the 11th century, many of these stateless societies started to consolidate or group together. Zimbabwe was one of the most wealthiest and powerful of all of these societies. They had an immense gold trade, even with places as far away as China. Their capital was Great Zimbabwe, and this area overlooks the Zambezi River. They had, again, those stone walls that I mentioned, and there were about 1,000 residents here, and they had it's been discovered that they had various household ornaments, household items that were made out of copper and gold. And they also, again, imported porcelain or dinnerware or pottery from China. The Great Enclosure was found in Great Zimbabwe, and it was this oval space that was 100 feet long, 17 feet thick, and 32 feet high of walls, and smaller enclosures with roundhouses were found nearby. The royal palace for this society was found in the valley, and walls in this area were different than other walls because they were granite blocks that were stacked together, again, without mortar. So they didn't need any adhesiveness to keep it together, which was unusual at this time. In the middle of the 15th century, this group was kind of ended. It was abandoned. Was it because there was a drought? Was there a crop failure for some reason? Had they overgrazed the area and all the animals were gone and there was no longer anything for their own animals to eat? We're unsure, but this society or civilization kind of ended. All right, and again, the Great Zimbabwe is down here at this far end.